Before we dive into this wild ride, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more stories that will leave you breathless. And tell us in the comments, what's the most awkward family gathering you've ever been to? The grand gardens of Oakhaven Manor shimmered under strings of fairy lights, a scene straight out of a glossy wedding magazine. Champagne flutes clinked, reflecting the joyous smiles of the guests. Eleanor Vance, 34, adjusted her emerald green gown, a dress that had cost 2 weeks of her thriving restaurant's profits, and took a deep breath. The air, thick with the scent of fresh-cut roses, also carried the suffocating weight of family expectations. Still so pretty and all alone? What's wrong with men these days? Aunt Mildred's voice cut through the air like a poisoned arrow, aimed squarely at Eleanor. Eleanor pretended not to hear, but her grip tightened on her champagne flute. At 34, her professional success felt like a crime to the Vance family. 34 summers of building a culinary empire, all worth less than a broken penny without a ring on her finger. Oh, she's just too busy with her restaurants, isn't she, dear? Another aunt, another barb disguised as concern. Work won't keep your bed warm at night. Laughter erupted around her. Eleanor briefly considered drowning someone in the decorative fountain. Instead, she plastered on the automatic smile she'd perfected over years of family events. My bed is perfectly warm, Aunt Beatrice. Thank you for your concern. And my restaurants are thriving. She subtly raised her glass. Of course, dear, of course. Beatrice nodded, her smile not reaching her eyes. But Lucy is already on her second baby. And Sophia. She gestured towards the dance floor where the bride, her cousin, twirled in a cloud of tulle and happiness. Newlywed and radiant, you see. Eleanor scanned the ballroom, desperately seeking an escape route. Weddings were her personal hell. An endless parade of couples, babies, and uncomfortable questions. Her phone vibrated in her small clutch. She pulled it out like a lifeline in a stormy sea. Excuse me, urgent restaurant matter. She lied, backing away with steps that tried not to look like a full-blown retreat. She found refuge beside a bougainvillea-covered pillar. The screen showed a bank app notification, nothing urgent. But she needed these few seconds to rebuild her armor. Problems in the culinary paradise? The deep voice startled her. Marcus Thorne, her ex. Of course, he'd be here. The world of Oakhaven was small, especially for old families like the Vances and the Thornes. Everything perfectly under control, she replied, straightening up with the elegance she'd learned to maintain, even when crumbling inside. Marcus smiled, flashing the perfect teeth that had featured in so many political campaigns. Saw you running from your aunts. Some things never change. And others improve considerably, Eleanor countered, raising an eyebrow. Like my taste in company. The politician chuckled, as if she'd told a particularly witty joke instead of insulting him. Always so spicy. That's why we had such great chemistry. What we had was your ego and my patience, Marcus. And that ran out years ago. He moved closer, invading her space with the scent of expensive cologne and arrogance. We could reminisce about old times. Now that you're... His gaze swept across the room suggestively, unaccompanied. The words hit that precise point of vulnerability Eleanor tried to protect. Before she could respond, she felt a firm arm slide around her waist, a warm presence against her back. Sorry I'm late, darling. The call with the suppliers ran longer than expected. Eleanor froze. She knew that voice, that subtle scent of sandalwood and freshly brewed coffee. Liam Marshall, her business partner, the man she shared professional decisions with, but barely any personal conversations, was now so close she could feel his breath on her hair. And you are? Marcus extended a hand, confusion and suspicion mingling on his face. Liam Marshall. The reply came with a firm, almost challenging handshake. Eleanor's very fortunate companion. The world seemed to stop as Liam turned his face towards her. His eyes, those dark eyes that usually analyzed contracts and balance sheets, now looked at her with an intensity that stole her breath. Before she could process what was happening, His lips found hers in a kiss that began as a soft caress and transformed into something deeper, more intimate, more authentic than any performance should be. The music stumbled. The DJ made a botched fade. Conversations around them died. When they finally separated, Marcus's face was a study in shock and disbelief. "See you around, Thorne." Liam dismissed him with a casual gesture, his arms still firmly anchored around Eleanor's waist. The politician walked away, leaving a trail of wounded pride. Eleanor blinked, trying to reorganize the universe that had just been tipped on its axis. "What on earth was that?" she whispered, finally finding her voice amidst the chaos of sensations. Liam smiled, that enigmatic smile he reserved for the most complex negotiations. "That, Eleanor, was the start of our most interesting collaboration to date." Around them, murmurs grew like a tide. "Who is that? Since when? Did you see how he kissed her?" And as the ants approached, eyes avid for information, Eleanor wondered at what exact moment she had agreed to this dangerous game, and why, inexplicably, she wanted to keep playing. Are you as shocked as Eleanor's ants? Drop a comment below with your initial reaction to that unexpected kiss. The confession and the crumbling wall. 24 hours before the kiss that froze the wedding, Eleanor was reviewing figures on her laptop, the empty restaurant echoing with the sounds of staff cleaning the kitchen. The white tablecloths gleamed under the soft light, like canvases awaiting the culinary masterpieces of the next day. Always working so late? The question floated in the air, accompanied by the unmistakable aroma of a freshly uncorked red wine. Eleanor looked up. Liam Marshall walked between the tables, 2 crystal glasses in one hand and a bottle in the other. His dark suit was gone, replaced by jeans and a navy shirt that softened the angles of his usually serious face. "Success isn't built on a 9-to-5 schedule," she replied, closing her laptop. "Is that Malbec for sharing? Or are you celebrating something solo?" Liam placed both glasses on the table and poured the purple liquid with the precision of someone who knew the exact value of every drop. "I have a rule. Never drink alone after reviewing financial contracts. Bad for digestion." The seriousness with which he said it drew a genuine smile from Eleanor. Their professional relationship, which had begun 8 months ago when Liam's holding company decided to invest in her restaurant, rarely strayed from numbers and projections. "In that case, let's toast to digestion," she raised her glass, "and to the quarterly report that, miraculously, shows green numbers." The glass clinked. The wine worked its magic, and the conversation flowed, gradually shifting from figures and suppliers to more personal territories, illuminated by the single lamp still lit in the room. "Oak Haven Manor?" Liam raised an eyebrow when Eleanor mentioned her upcoming trip that weekend. "You don't sound particularly thrilled about a family wedding." Eleanor toyed with the stem of her glass. The second Malbec had disappeared, and her fingers drew invisible patterns on the tablecloth. "Family weddings are my personal hell," she confessed. "An endless parade where I showcase my status as a professional singleton to a jury of ants who measure success in engagement ring carats." Liam let out a deep chuckle that reverberated in the empty restaurant. "The city's most acclaimed chef intimidated by a bunch of ladies in floral hats? They're more intimidating than food critics," she murmured, pouring more wine. "At least critics only judge my dishes, not my uterus." Silence settled between them, comfortable like a shared blanket in winter. Eleanor observed Liam over the rim of her glass. In months of collaboration, she had never noticed how his eyes reflected the light, creating amber glints amidst the dark brown. Nor had she noticed the almost imperceptible scar that cut across his left eyebrow. "You should bring a date," he suggested, interrupting her scrutiny. "Someone who can deflect the family artillery. Any volunteers among your investor friends?" Eleanor laughed, the wine blurring the boundaries of her usual reserve. "I'm looking for someone presentable who knows how to use cutlery properly and doesn't talk about crypto." "I'll go with you." The 2 words fell like stones into a pond, creating ripples that expanded the silence. Eleanor blinked, convinced she had misheard. "Pardon." "I'll go with you," Liam repeated with the same naturalness with which he proposed menu changes.
impresentable.
I know the difference between a salad fork and a dessert fork, and I promise not to mention speculative investments during the wedding toast. Eleanor scrutinized his face, searching for signs of mockery. She found none. It's a family wedding, Liam. 3 days at a colonial estate with 50 Vances asking when we met and why I never mentioned you. We'll improvise, he replied, pouring the last drop of wine. I'm good at creating compelling narratives. It's part of my job to sell stories to investors. The proposal floated between them, absurd and tempting in equal measure. Eleanor imagined her aunt's faces when they saw her arrive on the arm of a man like Liam. Successful, attractive, with that air of mystery that even 8 months of business meetings hadn't managed to decipher. Why would you do it? She finally asked. Something shifted in Liam's gaze. A fleeting vulnerability like a crack in perfectly maintained armor. Perhaps I also have my reasons for not spending this weekend in the city, he admitted. Or perhaps I simply want to see the unyielding Eleanor Vance facing her aunts. You're a strange man, Liam Marshall, and you need a fake boyfriend for a real wedding, she shrugged. Seems like a fair deal. Eleanor's phone vibrated on the table. A message from her cousin. Coming alone? Need to confirm for table assignments. The answer hung like ripe fruit ready to be picked. Eleanor looked at Liam, who waited with the patience of a predator sure of his prey. If this goes wrong, I'll lose my dignity and possibly an investor, she warned. If it goes well, you'll keep both and gain a fascinating anecdote for your memoirs. The decision crystallized in that instant, amidst the wine remnants and the dim light. Eleanor typed quickly, bringing a guest. As she looked up, she found Liam observing her with an intensity that dried her throat. We have a deal then, he said, standing up. I'll pick you up tomorrow at 6. As she watched him walk towards the exit, Eleanor wondered if the wine had clouded her judgment or if, for the first time in years, she had made a truly impulsive decision. Her phone vibrated again. A message from Liam. See you tomorrow at 6. I love your family, even though I haven't met them yet. Eleanor smiled in the gloom of the empty restaurant. Whatever was going to happen at Oakhaven Manor, it would no longer be the boring wedding she had dreaded for months. What do you think? Was Eleanor crazy to agree to this? Or was it a stroke of genius? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. The truth unveiled. The stars dotted the velvety sky over the manor as the orchestra began a classic bolero. Couples converged onto the dance floor like moths drawn to a flame, leaving Eleanor and Liam in a bubble of forced, yet increasingly natural, complicity. Your performance deserves an award, she whispered, leaning into him like a woman in love. My Aunt Beatrice just texted asking why I've kept such a catch hidden for so long. Liam smiled, tucking a rebellious strand of hair behind Eleanor's ear with a familiarity that sent shivers down her spine. It's not acting when you enjoy the role, he replied, his fingers lingering a second longer than necessary. The truth floated between them. This game had rules neither of them had clearly defined. Every accidental touch, every sustained gaze, every shared smile gradually blurred the line between the pretense and something more dangerously authentic. Shall we dance? Liam's invitation came with an outstretched hand, a bridge to uncharted territory. Financial partners don't dance with chefs, Eleanor joked, trying to maintain some semblance of the professional relationship that, until yesterday, defined their bond. Boyfriends dance with their partners, he countered, his intense gaze dismantling Eleanor's defenses. And right now, in the eyes of your entire family, I am the man who has conquered the untamable Eleanor Vance. The dance floor welcomed them. Liam's hands found her waist with precision, as if they had rehearsed this moment for months. Eleanor's body responded automatically, molding to his as the music enveloped them in its nostalgic cadence. Where did you learn to dance like that? She murmured, genuinely surprised by the fluidity of his movements. My grandmother insisted no Marshall could be presented in society without mastering the art of dance, he explained, guiding her in a perfect turn. She said men reveal their true nature on the dance floor. And what does yours reveal? The question escaped her lips before she could contain it. Liam pulled her closer, his warm breath caressing her ear. That I prefer to lead, but I know when to follow. His voice took on a husky quality that resonated directly in the center of Eleanor's chest. And that I recognize when something valuable is in my arms. The music changed, but they remained intertwined, oblivious to the curious glances and whispered comments. The outside world blurred as Eleanor discovered new facets of this man she thought she knew only through spreadsheets and financial projections. Your family is watching us like we're a live telenovela, Liam commented, his thumb tracing hypnotic circles on the small of her back. We've given them the show of the year, she replied, allowing herself to rest her head lightly on his shoulder. Tomorrow will be the talk of the breakfast buffet. Liam's smile suddenly vanished. His body tensed beneath Eleanor's dress. She followed his gaze to spot Marcus Thorne advancing towards them with thinly disguised determination. Well, Marcus interrupted, his artificial smile gleaming under the lights. The couple of the moment. How long have you two been together? I'm surprised Eleanor never mentioned you during our recent conversations. The air between them thickened with tension. Eleanor felt Liam's hand tighten against her waist. There are some things Eleanor prefers to keep private, Liam replied, his cordial tone contrasting with the hardness of his gaze. Especially from those who haven't known how to value her. Marcus let out a forced laugh. Always so selective with your confidences. Although with me she shared quite a few intimacies. His eyes scanned Eleanor brazenly. Especially during our last encounter in February. Eleanor held her breath. Marcus's lie floated venomously between them. There had been no such encounter, but the insinuation sought precisely this, to create a crack in the apparent solidity of her relationship with Liam. Marcus? She intervened, regaining her composure. Desperation has never suited you. I spent February in Napa Valley, researching for my new tasting menu. Anyone can confirm that. Including me, Liam added casually. The late-night video calls from your hotel room are among my favorite memories of that month. Marcus's expression faltered for a moment. Eleanor suppressed a smile, impressed by Liam's quick thinking to improvise within the real chronology of their lives. I wish you both much happiness, Marcus finally spat out, his tone dripping with the opposite. You make an interesting couple, the financier and the chef. I suppose numbers and recipes go well together. Better than politics and hypocrisy, Eleanor sweetly retorted. Marcus walked away, defeated but not before casting a glance that promised this wasn't over. When he disappeared into the crowd, Eleanor exhaled slowly. Thank you, she murmured. You didn't have to defend me like that. Liam cupped her face in his hands, a gesture so intimate it stopped her breath. His eyes traced every inch of her features, as if memorizing a map. I wasn't defending you, he clarified softly. I was defending us. This lie is our joint creation, isn't it? We must protect it. The music faded as Liam's lips descended to hers, in a delicate kiss, different from the first. There was no audience, no pretense, only the raw truth of two people discovering something unexpected amidst contracts and obligations. When they separated, Liam's gaze had changed, revealing a vulnerability Eleanor had never seen in their business meetings. If we continue like this, he whispered against her ear, his husky voice sending shivers down every inch of her skin. I'm going to stop pretending. The words hung between them like a promise, or perhaps a warning, as the Oakhaven night enveloped the manor in its starry mantle. Did Liam just reveal his true feelings? What do you think will happen next? Let us know your predictions in the comments section. The ultimatum and the unwavering choice. The dawn filtered its first golden rays through the curtains of the hotel room. Eleanor contemplated the colonial-beamed ceiling as memories of the previous night danced in her mind like dust motes in the morning light. Her fingers involuntarily brushed her lips, where the sensation of Liam's last kiss lingered like a stubborn ghost. I'm going to stop pretending. The words echoed within her, defying all business logic. Partners didn't kiss like that. Investors didn't look with that almost painful intensity. Fake relationships didn't cause this electric tingling under the skin. Her phone vibrated on the bedside table. A message from Liam. Breakfast on the South Terrace. Your family has officially adopted me. Your Aunt Beatrice just showed me your quinceañera photos. Eleanor groaned, burying her face in the pillow. The farce was taking on a life of its own, spreading like vines over the walls she had carefully built between her personal and professional life. An hour later, she crossed the hotel lobby heading for New York City. The wedding was over, but its consequences were just beginning. She needed distance, perspective, and, above all, to immerse herself in the only refuge that had never failed her, her kitchen. The restaurant welcomed her with its familiar, reassuring rhythm. The clinking of pots, the sizzling of food on hot surfaces, the orders repeated with military precision. Here, Eleanor regained control. Here, she was Chef Vance, not the single niece or Liam Marshall's fake girlfriend. The tuna just arrived. Chef, fresh as promised. Eleanor nodded to her sous chef, focusing on preparing the tasting menu for that evening. Her hands worked with automatic precision, while her mind tried to unravel the enigma that her relationship with Liam now represented. The kitchen door opened. The sudden silence among her cooks indicated that something unusual was happening. As she turned, her knife remained suspended mid-slice. A woman with a slender figure and impeccably pulled-back dark hair advanced between the workstations as if parading down a Parisian catwalk. Her burgundy suit contrasted dramatically with the whiteness of the kitchens. "So this is the famous sanctuary of Eleanor Vance," she pronounced with a slightly foreign accent, extending a hand with perfectly manicured nails. "Renata Volkov, delighted to finally meet the chef who has captivated my Liam." The possessive "my" fell like ice into Eleanor's gut. She knew that name. Liam had mentioned it in meetings, always with a studied neutrality. The Russian investor, a major shareholder in the financial group. The woman who had backed the expansion of her restaurants. "Ms. Volkov," Eleanor replied, wiping her hands on her apron before returning the greeting. "I wasn't expecting your visit. Is Liam with you?" Renata's smile widened, revealing perfect teeth. "Liam?"
No, dear.
Some business requires a more feminine touch, especially when it involves other women. The kitchen team sensed the growing tension. With a discreet signal from Eleanor, they resumed their tasks, allowing them some privacy amidst the controlled bustle. "My office is this way," Eleanor indicated, guiding the visitor to the small glass-enclosed space from which she could supervise the kitchen without losing the necessary privacy for meetings. Renata observed every detail with a calculating gaze, finally stopping before the framed awards. "Impressive career for someone so young," she commented, tracing a finger along the edge of an international award. "And now you add Liam to your collection of trophies. Fascinating strategy." The insinuation sparked a flicker of indignation in Eleanor. "My relationship with Liam has nothing to do with business." "All relationships are business, dear." Renata took a seat, elegantly crossing her legs. "Only the terms of exchange change." She paused, her eyes narrowing slightly. "And frankly, I'm concerned about the value Liam is receiving in this particular arrangement. I don't know what kind of relationship you two have." Eleanor kept her voice firm. "But Liam is perfectly capable of making his own decisions." "Relationship?" Renata let out a crystalline laugh. "Past, present, future, these are such fluid concepts in our case. Liam and I share history, investments, and certain agreements that transcend conventional romance." She extracted an envelope from her briefcase and slid a document across the desk. "I've reviewed our investment contract. It seems there are clauses that need updating, considering recent, personal developments." Eleanor examined the pages, her pulse quickening with each line she read. The modifications subtly reduced her creative autonomy, increased the investor group's control over daily decisions, and most alarmingly, established conditions for a potential majority sale. "This contradicts our original agreement," she protested, trying to maintain professional calm. "Liam specifically guaranteed my creative independence." "Liam is not the only partner in the group," Renata replied, her voice soft as velvet wrapping a dagger. "And his recent decisions suggest a certain emotional vulnerability that concerns us." Mixing business and pleasure rarely ends well, don't you think? Before Eleanor could respond, the door opened. Liam appeared, his expression instantly transforming as he recognized Renata. "What are you doing here?" The coldness in his voice surprised Eleanor, accustomed to his usual composure. "Business, darling." Renata rose with feline grace. "Simply protecting our investments." She extracted a photograph from her bag and handed it to Liam with an enigmatic smile. The image showed them both at what appeared to be an intimate dinner, their faces close, their hands clasped across the table. The date in the bottom corner indicated just 3 months ago. "Some agreements are never broken, are they, Liam?" Renata whispered, picking up her briefcase. "I'm glad to have finally seen your new culinary project. I await your call to finalize the contract details." With an elegant movement, she kissed Liam's cheek and left the office, leaving behind a trail of expensive perfume and unanswered questions. The silence between Eleanor and Liam expanded like a crack in a glacier, cold and menacing. The photograph trembled slightly between his tensed fingers. "Eleanor, this isn't what it looks like," he began, his voice strangely vulnerable. She looked at the man who had transformed a family weekend into an emotional mess, at the partner who now seemed a complete stranger. "And what exactly is it, Liam?" Her eyes fixated on the photograph. "What part of all this isn't an act?" The photograph lay on the desk as silent evidence of an unconsummated betrayal. Eleanor stared at it while Liam remained motionless in front of her, his held breath creating a dense atmosphere between them. "I need to explain," he began, extending a hand that she subtly avoided. "What part exactly?" Eleanor's voice took on a sharp edge. "The romantic dinner with your partner? Or how you used me to make her jealous? Or perhaps the contract modifications that practically turned me into an employee of your holding company?" "None of those options." Liam ran a hand through his hair, a gesture Eleanor had never witnessed from him. "That photograph was taken during a negotiation. Renata manipulates every situation to her advantage." "Including people?" Eleanor's eyes scanned the modified document again. "Why do these clauses seem specifically designed to reduce my creative authority?" The restaurant buzzed beyond the glass walls. Preparations for the evening service continued, oblivious to the drama unfolding in that office. A parallel world where emotions did not interfere with perfectly executed recipes. Renata tries to sabotage any relationship she considers a threat to her influence, Liam explained, approaching cautiously. "Our history ended years ago, but she keeps playing this power game because she knows how to control her native language." Eleanor let out a dry laugh. "And I'm supposed to believe that our theater in Oakhaven was completely selfless, with no hidden agendas? I offered you my time, my loyalty." Liam's voice rose, charged with an emotion that broke his usual composure. "And you doubt me because of an old photo?" Indignation flushed Eleanor's cheeks. "You offered me a performance, a role in your personal play. How can I distinguish now what was real and what was acting?" Her words echoed in the small office. Outside, the cooks exchanged uneasy glances, pretending to concentrate on their tasks, while the tension permeated the glass walls. "You want to know what was real?" Liam advanced until he was centimeters from her. "The way my pulse quickened when I saw you in that emerald dress. The electricity when our hands brushed during the dance. My desire to protect you when that jerk tried to humiliate you." Every word disarmed Eleanor's defenses. Every confession resonated with a truth she herself had tried to ignore. "Then explain this." She pointed to the modified contract. "If I'm more than a business asset to you, why would you allow these conditions?" "I don't allow them." Liam took the document and tore it in half with a decisive movement. "Renata acted without my consent. She intends to force my hand by threatening what I value." "And what exactly do you value, Liam?" The question floated between them, laden with vulnerability. He did not answer with words. His hands framed Eleanor's face delicately, as if holding something infinitely precious. His eyes sought permission as he slowly leaned in. Eleanor closed her eyelids, surrendering momentarily to the confusion of emotions. Their lips met in a kiss different from the previous ones. There was no audience.
No pretense.
Only the raw truth of two people discovering something unexpected amidst contracts and obligations. The door opened abruptly. The sous chef stopped, wide-eyed at the scene.
I'm sorry, chef.
The suppliers need your approval for the change in seafood. Eleanor broke away sharply, reality breaking in like cold water. Coming, Michael. When they were alone again, the magic of the moment had dissipated. The restaurant, the business, the responsibilities, everything reclaimed its place. This is impossible, she murmured, creating physical distance between them. We are business partners. You've invested millions in my restaurants. The lines are too blurred now. The lines have been blurred since I agreed to go with you to that wedding, Liam countered. Perhaps they were never as clear as we thought. Liam's phone vibrated insistently. Renata, business reality demanding his attention. I need to resolve this, he said, showing the screen. But this conversation isn't over, Eleanor. Perhaps it should be, she replied, regaining her professional posture. We have too much at stake, Liam. My restaurant, your investment, our reputations. And what we feel? The question hung between them like a sustained musical note. What we feel is a consequence of a lie we invented. Eleanor averted her gaze. A weekend fantasy that doesn't survive the light of a Monday morning. Liam recoiled as if he had received a physical blow. His expression hardened, regaining the mask of the calculating businessman. I understand. His voice sounded distant, professional. We'll discuss the terms of the contract another time. Now you have a service to prepare. He headed towards the door with firm steps, stopping only for an instant before leaving. For someone who creates experiences that make others feel, you have a surprising fear of your own emotions, Eleanor. The door closed with a soft click. Eleanor remained motionless, her entire body vibrating with contradictory emotions, as Liam's words echoed in her mind. Do you think Eleanor made the right choice? Or is she letting fear get in the way of something real? Tell us what you think in the comments below. A new recipe for life. Hours later, when the last diner left the restaurant and the team cleaned up amidst hushed conversations, Eleanor mechanically reviewed the next day's reservations. Her mind, however, replayed every moment with Liam like a film she couldn't stop. Under a folder, she found the original contract, the one he had signed guaranteeing her creative freedom. Attached was a note written in Liam's elegant handwriting. Your vision, your kitchen, your art. I trust you more than numbers. An email interrupted her thoughts. As she opened it, her breath hitched. Renata had unilaterally sent the modified contract to all investors. The final note chilled her blood. Changes effective immediately. Operational control temporarily transferred. Pending final approval. The implications were clear. Without Liam's intervention, she would lose control of everything she had fought for. And now, after their argument, would he come to her rescue? Or had she destroyed not only a romantic possibility but also her professional future? 3 days. 72 hours without news from Liam. The restaurant operated with apparent normality, while Eleanor executed recipes by inertia, her mind trapped in a limbo of uncertainty. The investors had scheduled an extraordinary meeting for the following morning. The topic, Renata's proposed restructuring. The last table left the premises shortly after midnight. Eleanor dismissed the team and remained alone, contemplating the empty space she loved so much. The chairs perfectly arranged, the gleaming glasses, the lingering aroma of spices and satisfaction. All of this could be radically transformed if she lost her creative autonomy. The chime of the front door startled her. No one had access at that hour except, I thought you weren't coming. Her voice echoed in the deserted dining room, as Liam advanced between the tables with an unreadable expression. I tried to stay away. The sincerity in his tone surprised Eleanor. I failed miserably. He wore casual clothes, so different from his usual impeccable suits. Worn jeans, a wrinkled shirt, a nascent beard. This vulnerable Liam contrasted dramatically with the calculating businessman everyone knew. The meeting is tomorrow, she commented, not moving from her position. I suppose you've come to warn me about my imminent professional degradation. I've come to apologize. Liam placed a folder on the nearest table, and to confess everything. Eleanor eyed the folder with suspicion, as if it contained something dangerous. More contracts? More clauses I must accept. My resignation as the lead investor in your restaurant. The words fell like stones into still water. Eleanor blinked, unable to process the information. Have you sold your shares to Renata? The question emerged, choked and fearful. I've transferred my shares to an independent foundation. Liam opened the folder, revealing legal documents, with specific instructions to keep your creative vision intact. Renata can't touch you now. Why would you do something like that? Eleanor approached slowly, studying the papers with disbelief. Because I valued what we had, professionally and personally, too much to allow Renata to poison it. He ran a hand through his disheveled hair. I found myself at an impossible crossroads. Should I maintain my position as your partner or preserve what was beginning to blossom between us? Liam. Eleanor couldn't find words. The business sacrifice he had just made was unthinkable in his world of ruthless business. Allow me to explain everything. His voice took on a deep, resolute tone. From the beginning unfiltered, they sat face to face. Liam contemplated his hands for a moment before beginning. Renata and I had a relationship 7 years ago. She was brilliant, ambitious, magnetic. We built the holding company together, merging our family fortunes with a shared vision. He paused, searching for the exact words. The romance ended when I discovered her method, emotionally manipulating every potential partner, creating dependencies, establishing loyalties based on shared secrets. The photograph, Eleanor murmured. It was taken in February when she was trying to convince me not to invest in your second restaurant. She sensed my interest in you from the first time I tasted your cooking. A fleeting smile crossed his face. She said mixing personal admiration with financial decisions was a classic rookie mistake. And was she right? Eleanor dared to ask. I didn't invest in you because of attraction. I invested because I recognized something authentic in your culinary proposal. Their eyes met directly for the first time that night. The attraction came later, growing silently with every meeting, every tasting, every discussion about the restaurant's future. Why did you agree to accompany me to the wedding? The real reason. Liam exhaled slowly. Renata was returning from Milan that weekend. She wanted to celebrate our business anniversary with an intimate dinner, reviving old patterns. Your invitation appeared as the perfect excuse to escape. The raw honesty hit Eleanor with unexpected force. So I was your alibi? At first, yes. Liam didn't look away, holding the truth between them. But something changed in Oakhaven. Playing the role of your partner felt more authentic than any reality I had known before. Silence enveloped their confessions. Outside, the city slept while they dismantled, word by word, the defenses built over months. This terrifies me, Eleanor finally admitted, her voice barely audible. Not knowing where the chef ends and the woman begins. Not distinguishing between professional admiration and personal desire. Perhaps they don't need to be separated. Liam extended his hand across the table, leaving it there, an unpressured invitation. Perhaps the blurred lines are precisely the point. I don't want you to protect me. Eleanor looked at the outstretched hand, fighting the urge to take it. I want you to trust me, to believe in my ability to face Renata, to defend my restaurant.
Ido.
Liam smiled, a genuine smile that transformed his tired face. That's why the documents stipulate that you maintain absolute creative control. It's not protection, it's recognition. And now what? The question floated between them, loaded with possibilities. Now I am simply Liam, not your partner, not your investor. He shrugged with disarming vulnerability. Just a man who can't stop thinking about the chef he met professionally and rediscovered during a weekend of pretense that turned out to be truer than many realities. Eleanor felt tears forming in her eyes, contradictory emotions fighting to dominate her response. Years of building professional walls threatened to crumble before the absolute sincerity Liam offered. Her fingers moved of their own accord, finding his across the table. The contact sent waves of warmth through her arm, reminding her of the electricity shared during the dance in Oakhaven. "The meeting tomorrow," she began. "Cancelled." Liam gently intertwined his fingers with hers. "The documents were processed this afternoon. The foundation is now officially your main investor." Eleanor's phone vibrated on the counter. Checking the screen, her eyes widened in surprise. "It's an email from Gourmet Horizons magazine," she murmured, reading quickly. "They want an exclusive interview. They're considering including me in their annual list of innovative chefs." "Well-deserved recognition." Liam smiled, genuinely proud. "They specifically mention interest in my new concept of pairing with local producers." Eleanor looked up, confused. "But I barely mentioned that as an idea during our dinner." Perhaps someone believed in that idea enough to mention it in the right circles. Liam shrugged with feigned innocence. The email concluded with a line that made Eleanor's heart race. "We would love for the photo shoot to include your entire team and your visionary investor partner, Liam Marshall." "Looks like the universe isn't ready to separate the chef from her investor," Liam commented with a shy smile. Eleanor looked at their intertwined hands, a perfect symbol of the blurred lines between the professional and the personal. "Perhaps we aren't either," she whispered, leaning into him. The grand opening and the sweetest success. The auditorium lights danced over the event tables. Mexico's culinary elite had gathered for the presentation of Eleanor Vance's new culinary concept, an innovative fusion of contemporary techniques with ancestral Mexican ingredients. Critics, investors, and celebrity chefs tasted each dish, while murmurs of approval rippled through the room. From the temporary kitchen installed backstage, Eleanor observed the flow of servers carrying her creations. Each dish represented hours of experimentation, overcome failures, confirmed intuitions. Her team moved with choreographed precision, communicating with glances and gestures after weeks of rehearsal. The Gourmet Horizons critic just asked for the recipe for the black mole with high-altitude coffee infusion. Michael, her sous chef, whispered with shining eyes. "He says it's revolutionary." Eleanor nodded, allowing herself a fleeting smile. Professional recognition tasted sweet, but her gaze instinctively searched for someone in the crowd. Liam had promised to arrive, despite his whirlwind trip to New York to finalize the legal details of the foundation. "Dessert will be out in 5 minutes, she announced, adjusting a final detail in the presentation of the chocolate tamal with mezcal foam. "Absolute perfection, or it doesn't leave." A movement at the main entrance caught her attention. Liam advanced between the tables, elegant in his dark suit, but visibly exhausted. Transatlantic flights and legal battles had left marks on his face, but his eyes immediately found hers across the crowd. The silent message between them was worth more than any conversation. "We did it." Eleanor returned her attention to the desserts, concentrating on maintaining professional composure, while her heart beat with renewed energy. The last 3 weeks had transformed her world. The foundation established by Liam ensured her creative independence. The culinary magazine had published an extensive profile about her career, and reservations from all over the country flooded the restaurant system. And between meetings, tastings, and preparations for this event, they had built something personal, fragile, and powerful all at once. Stolen moments in the empty kitchen after service, deep conversations while trying new recipes, shared laughter remembering the initial farce that had unleashed everything. "Ms. Vance." A chilling voice froze the activity in the kitchen. What a picturesque spectacle. Renata Volkov stood in the doorway, impeccable in a white ensemble that dramatically highlighted her dark hair. Her smile did not reach her calculating eyes, which evaluated every detail of the space. "Ms. Volkov," Eleanor straightened, holding the Italian woman's gaze. "I wasn't expecting your presence tonight. Successful businesses deserve attention." Renata advanced, inspecting the dishes with a critical gesture. Although some methods for achieving that success may be questionable, the kitchen team sensed the tension. With a discreet signal, Eleanor directed them to continue their work, while she led Renata to a more private corner. If you have any concrete accusations, I suggest you present them through the appropriate channels, Eleanor replied with studied calm. Tonight we celebrate gastronomy, not imaginary conspiracies. Renata let out a dry laugh. I always admired your ingenuity, dear. Turning Liam from an investor into a sentimental puppet requires a special talent. You underestimate Liam, and you underestimate me. Eleanor kept her voice serene, but her eyes burned. Neither of us are pieces on your particular chessboard. Everyone is a piece, darling. The difference lies in who moves the strings. Renata pulled an envelope from her bag. The board of directors is considering withdrawing the group's support for your restaurants entirely. Liam's foundation is impressive, but insufficient to sustain your artistic vision. Eleanor's heart raced, but her expression remained impassive. Are you trying to intimidate me at my own event? I intend to offer you an elegant exit. Renata slid the envelope towards her. Sell me your steak. Name your price. Let's avoid the spectacle of your inevitable decline. Eleanor looked at the envelope without touching it. The doubts that would have paralyzed her before dissipated like mist under the morning sun. 3 weeks ago, she would have trembled at this threat. Today, she clearly saw the desperation behind Renata's impeccable facade. My answer is no. The firmness in her voice surprised even herself. My restaurants, my vision, my team, are not for sale, especially not to someone who confuses manipulation with leadership. Renata's mask of composure cracked momentarily. You are making a monumental mistake. Allow me to show you something. Eleanor led her to the main hall where guests applauded enthusiastically as desserts were served. In the center of the auditorium, Liam was animatedly conversing with a group of international investors. Noticing the presence of both women, he excused himself and advanced towards them. Renata greeted him with polite formality. I didn't know you were interested in contemporary Mexican gastronomy. My interests are diverse, as you well know. The tension between them was palpable. I was just telling Eleanor about the financial implications of certain recent decisions. Fascinating coincidence, Liam smiled, subtly positioning himself next to Eleanor. I was explaining to the representatives of the European Fund how our independent structure allows us innovations that more rigid conglomerates cannot implement. Renata's face paled slightly. What European Fund? International Gastronomy. Liam discreetly gestured towards the group he had been conversing with. They're looking for unique concepts to back globally. They were particularly impressed by our creative autonomy. Eleanor observed the transformation in Renata's expression. The quick calculation, the reevaluation of positions, the recognition of a lost game. Interesting strategy, the Italian conceded finally. You were always skilled at identifying opportunities, Liam. I learned to recognize what's authentic. His gaze briefly rested on Eleanor. And to value it appropriately. Renata caught the implicit message. With intact elegance, but wounded pride, she bid them farewell. I must attend to other commitments. Congratulations on the event, Eleanor. You've certainly captivated the right audience. As she walked away through the crowd, Eleanor exhaled slowly. Is that European Fund real? As real as our new Canadian partners, Liam smiled mischievously. The difference is that they are genuinely interested in your culinary proposal, not in controlling it. The evening continued its triumphant course. Critics requested interviews. Renowned chefs exchanged techniques. Potential investors left cards. When the last guest departed, Eleanor gathered her team for a private toast. To you all. She raised her glass to the cooks, servers, and staff who had made the success possible. The true heart of this project. After the thanks and celebrations, the space was finally empty. Only Eleanor and Liam remained, contemplating the unoccupied tables that hours earlier had vibrated with gastronomic enthusiasm. You did it, he murmured, approaching her. We did it, Eleanor corrected, allowing her fingers to intertwine with Liam's. Partners in this, remember? About that partnership, Liam looked at her with quiet intensity. I didn't go with you to that wedding to shut up your family. I did it because I couldn't not be with you. The confession floated between them, crystallizing weeks of shared moments, overcome doubts, and broken barriers. Eleanor moved closer, eliminating the physical distance that remained between them. I think we could renegotiate the terms of our association. What do you propose exactly? Liam smiled, guessing the answer. A more complete fusion. Eleanor brushed her lips against his. Personal and professional, without escape clauses, without fine print. The kiss that followed sealed an agreement no contract could contain. Amidst invisible applause and culinary stars, two people who had started by playing a role discovered the most authentic of recipes. One that transforms unexpected ingredients into something extraordinarily real. The story has ended, but the conversation has just begun. Where are you joining us from today? Were you enjoying this romantic tale with a good wine like Eleanor and Liam? Or perhaps cooking something delicious while reading? As our chef protagonist would say, the best stories, like the best dishes, deserve to be shared. What ingredient did you find the tastiest in this literary recipe? Your opinion is the perfect dessert to complete this menu of emotions. Tell us.